Okay, so let's try to unpack this. We usually think of influence, in the financial world as something structured.
Right. Very structured. You have a title, you're on a board, there's a flow chart.
Exactly, the official channels. But today, we are looking at a set of documents that basically takes a shredder to that flowchart.
Yeah, it really does.
We're diving into the mechanics of how the world actually worked for about a decade, and it's all through the lens of this massive release of files.
We're talking DOJ records, a huge cache of emails Bloomberg got, all centered on Jeffrey Epstein.
And we should be really clear right up front. This isn't a deep dive into the crimes you already know about.
No, not at all. This is about, well, it's about bureaucracy. The machinery of access.
It's the sheer audacity of the role he played that gets me. I mean, we're looking at a man who was already a pariah in so many circles.
Absolutely.
He publicly claimed he hated the World Economic Forum. He called it a circus. And yet
the emails show he was basically its secret gatekeeper.
that contradiction is the hook, isn't it?
It is. You have a man calling himself the Davos concierge. I mean, usually if someone says they hate a club, they don't spend their time vetting the membership list.
Unless hating the club is part of the brand.
What do you mean?
Like, if you act like you're above it, maybe that makes you the ultimate arbiter of who gets in.
That's a great point. It's a status play. And the documents, we're talking nearly 3 million files here. They reveal this concierge title wasn't just, a vanity project.
It was an operational reality.
Precisely. He wasn't on the periphery. He was managing the traffic flow for the global elite.
Let's dig into that title for a second, Davos Concierge, because for anyone who hasn't been to Davos during the summit, which is, let's be honest, most of us, it's hard to understand why you'd even need a concierge. Isn't it just a conference? You buy a ticket, you book a hotel?
But it's not that simple.
Yeah.
Not at all. See, Davos is this small alpine town. It's tiny. And during the World Economic Forum, the population just explodes. The infrastructure is completely maxed out. A badge to get into the main building is one thing. That's like gold dust.
But that's not the real currency.
Wow. The real currency is where you sleep.
Because if you're not in the right zone, you're just stuck in traffic.
Worse, you're irrelevant. If you're staying 45 minutes down the mountain somewhere, you can't network. The real deals, they happen in specific hotels. The Belvedere, the Grand Hotel.
Right.
And Epstein understood that. He knew that geography is destiny at these things.
Yeah.
The emails show him securing rooms, suites, for billionaires and government officials when the entire town was supposedly booked solid.
So he's hoarding the real estate. He's essentially scalping the location, but instead of money, he's trading for, what, favor?
He's creating a debt of gratitude.
Exactly.
Imagine you're a billionaire. You're used to getting what you want. You call the WEF, they say, sorry, no rooms.
Then you call Epstein.
The guy who supposedly hates the place. And he says, I've got a suite for you. That immediately establishes a hierarchy, right? You just saved your entire summit.
He becomes the landlord of the elite. But here's the detail from the files that I found most confusing.
Go on.
While he's booking these rooms, arranging these meetings, it's not actually clear he was there.
That's the ghost in the machine part of it. The WEE won't comment on his official attendance for those years. But the emails, they strongly suggest he was exerting all this influence remotely.
Which is almost more impressive in a really dark way.
It is.
He didn't need to be freezing on the promenade to control the entire room.
It suggests his power wasn't about physical presence. It was about digital leverage. He was the router. You don't need to see the router to get the signal.
That brings us to the quotas. This is where the story shifts from, guy doing favors to guy running a whole system.
Yes.
And we have to talk about Larry Summers.
This is a pivotal exchange in the files. Larry Summers, former U.S. Treasury Secretary, President Emeritus of Harvard, a titan of the economic establishment.
A guy who you'd assume has the direct phone number for every finance minister on the planet.
You would think so. So it's December 2018. Summers wants to go to Davos. He doesn't call the WEF in Geneva.
No. He emails Epstein, asks for an invitation.
And Epstein rejects him.
Wait, he says no?
He says no, but it's why he says no that's so telling. He tells a former U.S. Treasury Secretary he can't help because he has already, and this is a direct quote from the email, exceeded his quota of guest passes.
Quota.
Okay.
That is such a bureaucratic word.
Isn't it? It implies an allotment, an official arrangement.
Yeah, you don't have a quota if you're just some random guy who likes the event. A quota means someone institutional, someone high up at the WF gave him a specific number of golden tickets.
To distribute at his own discretion.
It operationalizes his influence. He wasn't begging for scraps. He had actual inventory.
And he was managing that inventory strictly. He's telling Summers, sorry, I'm out of stock. Just think about that power dynamic.
It's insane.
Epstein, a convicted sex offender, is gatekeeping the global stage for a former Treasury Secretary.
It completely flips the hierarchy we think exists. We think public officials hold the power, and private fixers ask for access.
This is the fixer denying access to the official.
And just to close the loop on that, did Summers ever get in?
He did. The files show that a few months later, in 2019, just weeks before Epstein's arrest, he emailed Summers back, confirmed his invitation for Davos 2020.
Wow. Wheeling and dealing right up until the very end.
He was operating with complete impunity. He thought his position in this shadow architecture was secure.
You mentioned him being a router before. That really comes through in that text message from Terje Red Larsen.
Yeah, Red Larsen is a fascinating figure here. A former Norwegian diplomat, major player in the Oslo Accords, a very serious geopolitical operator.
So he's at the summit, physically there. And he sends a text to Epstein, who is probably, in New York? The Caribbean?
Probably. And the text says, Bill Gates is here. Could you ask him if I can see him tomorrow or Saturday morning?
Just pause on that for a second. You are a world-class diplomat. You're in the same small town as Bill Gates. Instead of walking over to Gates's team, you text a guy thousands of miles away to set up the meeting.
It tells you everything you need to know about efficiency. Red Larsen knew that going through official channels takes time. Emails get lost.
But if Epstein pings Gates...
Gates answers.
It's the fast pass lane for the global elite.
It is, and it confirms that everyone involved, diplomats, tech moguls, everyone, they accepted that Epstein was the most efficient node in their network. Even if he wasn't in the room, he controlled the room.
Speaking of controlling people, we need to talk about the language in that Boris Nikolic email.
Oh, that one is something else.
He's a biotech venture capitalist, former advisor to Gates. This is from 2010, so a bit earlier, but the phrasing is just possessive.
It's jarring to read. Nikolic writes to Epstein after the summit, and he says he met with your Bill Clinton and your other Prince Andrew.
Your Bill Clinton, not President Clinton, or the former president.
It almost commodifies them. It strips away the titles, the public service, and it reduces them to assets in a portfolio.
Yeah.
I met with your guy.
It sounds like he's implying that in these private circles, Clinton and Prince Andrew were seen as extensions of Epstein's brand.
Or part of the concierge package. Here's your car, here's your dinner reservation, here is your former president.
And it wasn't just social, was it?
No. Nikolic mentions they had questions about Microsoft. These were business transactions being conducted under the umbrella of Epstein's network. He was the platform they were all running on.
So we've got the guests, the rooms, the quota, but you can't run an operation like this without management knowing.
You can't be the concierge if the hotel manager doesn't give you the master keys.
Right. And that brings us to the leadership. The files shine a very bright spotlight on Burge Brenda,
the current president and CEO of the World Economic Forum.
And this isn't just a casual hello in a hallway.
No. We're talking records of at least 3 private dinners between 2018 and 2019, around 27 messages exchanged. This was an active, ongoing dialogue.
And they weren't discussing the ski conditions. There's one specific exchange about global architecture that feels like the center of gravity for this whole story.
It is the single most significant philosophical revelation in these documents. Epstein writes to Brenda, the head of the WEF.
And he says what?
He says, Davos really can replace the UN.
Let that just sink in for a minute. Davos can replace the UN?
And Brenda doesn't push back. He doesn't say that's crazy. He replies, exactly. We need a new global architecture.
Exactly. He agreed.
Now, we have to be careful here. In diplomatic speak, global architecture is a standard term. It just means the way countries and organizations work together.
But context is everything.
It's everything. You have a private gathering of the wealthy Davos and a public assembly of nations, the UN.
For the head of the private gathering to agree that they can replace the public one, that goes beyond efficiency. That feels anti-democratic.
It reveals a worldview, doesn't it? Yeah. It suggests a belief that the future of global governance shouldn't be about messy votes in the General Assembly.
It should be about deals made by CEOs and select leaders in a Swiss resort.
With Epstein helping to design the blueprint, he wasn't just a party planner. He was engaging in high-level strategy about how the world should be run.
And what's Brenda's defense now that this is all out?
His official stance is that he was completely unaware of Epstein's criminal past.
Unaware. In 2018, he'd been a registered sex offender for a decade. The story was everywhere.
It does strain credulity for the head of a global information organization to miss that particular detail.
So what happens to him?
Well, Brenda emphasizes that he himself requested the independent review into his own conduct. He's basically saying, look at the records, I have nothing to hide. And as of now, he's still in the role.
Still president of the WEF. But others haven't been so lucky, right? The blast radius from this data dump didn't just stay in Switzerland.
No, it's global. That's the thing about these networks. They just cross borders seamlessly. We've seen resignations and officials implicated in Dubai, in Slovakia, in the UK.
Because once the back door is exposed, you can't really claim you came in through the front.
That's a perfect way to put it. The files name royalty, prime ministers, tech giants. When you pull the thread labeled Epstein, the whole sweater starts unraveling in capitals all over the world.
It just shows how fragile these reputations are.
Absolutely. You can be a master of the universe on Tuesday,
Yeah.
but if your name pops up in a Davos concierge email on Wednesday, you're writing a resignation letter by Thursday.
So let's bring this all back to our listener. The person who is just trying to understand how the world actually works. Why does all of this matter?
It matters because it shatters the illusion of the official story. We grow up learning civics, right? We learn that decisions are made by elected officials in public buildings.
The West Wing version of reality.
Exactly. But this deep dive, it shows us the wiring under the floorboards. It shows a parallel track exists. A track where a private citizen, a criminal no less, can tell a Treasury Secretary no.
And where the head of a private forum can agree that it should replace the United Nations.
It means if you only follow the official news, you're missing half the movie.
Maybe more than half.
Maybe. It implies that real power is brokered in private, facilitated by these personal networks, completely outside of any democratic oversight. Epstein wasn't an anomaly. He was a feature of the system.
That's the sobering part. He wasn't crashing the party.
The party was designed to need someone like him.
I want to go back to that global architecture idea for a second before we sign off. It's the thing I just can't stop thinking about.
It is the big lingering question.
If the people running the world's most exclusive economic forum genuinely believe they can replace the UN, and if they were using people like Epstein to help build that future, where does that leave the rest of us?
If the new architecture is invite only, and the gatekeeper is a man with no moral compass, well, it's a very dangerous blueprint for the future.
That is definitely something to chew on. We'll leave it there. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Always a pleasure.
Keep your eyes open. We'll catch you on the next one.